Hey, it's Niels on Dynasty. Please, like, share, and subscribe. Buy some silver, some platinum, crystallized osmium. Don't listen to me. Everything I'm saying is a bunch of crap. It's for fun and profit. No, it's not for fun and profit. It is for fun, not for profit. Anyhow, got all the disclaimers out of the way. Let's start off with the first one. Something I'm really keen on. This is Defense Now. Breaking. Pentagon deploys next generation nuclear reactor from March ARB. Let's see what they have to say.
Morning, all. It's great to be here on the West Coast representing the Department of War and participate in this truly historic event. I want to start by thanking President Trump and Secretary Hegseth for the leadership that they bring to the Department of War and the government at large to really drive government and industry to move fast and create opportunity for innovative things like our event here today. Also want to thank the organizations and leaders who made today possible, including our air crews and our hosts here at March Air Reserve Base. The Department of War is excited to be supporting the collaboration with our colleagues at the Department of Energy, including the airlift capability featuring the C-17 behind me on the runway and the associated ground support to safely transport this unfueled reactor module for testing and evaluation purposes. Today's activity aligns with a broader initiative to improve the speed, safety, and effectiveness of advanced nuclear reactor testing and to better understand the logistics, certification, and handling requirements associated with these systems. For the Department of War to deploy transportable nuclear microreactors, many logistics scenarios need to be tested through demonstrations like these to develop a robust understanding of the challenges involved. This activity marks a tremendous milestone in the meaningful logistics trials that will inform the department's understanding of the capabilities required to harness advanced nuclear power. Most importantly, it gets us closer to deploying nuclear power when and where it is most needed to give our nation's warfighter the tools to win on the battlefield. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Secretary Wright.
President, one of President Trump's core missions when he assumed the presidency was to unleash American energy dominance. He recognized that more energy made America stronger economically, job opportunities in our country, stronger militarily, better able to project power abroad. He led this effort with 4 large executive orders to move all the things out of the way that had strangled American energy ingenuity. We've had years of energy subtraction policies that directed our industries overseas and raised energy prices for Americans who are rightfully frustrated by that. One of President Trump's boldest proclamations was that this is America. We can build things, we can innovate, we can do things in this country. And in fact, he set out a very bold goal. This is just 12 months ago. He said by the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence, meaning July 4 of this year, we're going to have multiple nuclear reactors critical. People thought that was crazy.
15 months, and we're going to go from not having any micro nuclear reactors running on American soil to having a whole crap load of them. I've already told you guys that the U.S. Army is getting 9 micro reactors to be deployed in their bases in the Southeast. Air Force is getting 1 to be deployed in Alaska, and that's just a start. These companies I've been talking about, NNE, OKLO, NuScale, follow them. Those are companies that these guys are talking about. Everyone's like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? Neil says, by looking at NNE and OKLO, and you might stand a chance of making some freaking money, right? Now we got these guys saying it's going to happen. Well, who are they going to go to? Well, they're going to go to NNE and OKLO and NuScale because those are American micro nuclear reactor and small modular reactor companies. We're not going to go to the Chinese companies. We're not going to go to the Russian companies. We're nationalizing. We're going to go to the American companies. America's been telling you guys this for quite some time. Democrats hate that we're going to America first, but we are. So that means there's investment opportunity in American micro and small modular reactors. That's all I'm saying. Now you have all these government officials and military people saying, yeah, Neil's right.
Months away. We've built 2 reactors in 40 or 50 years.
What's up, Chad?
We have 3 reactors critical by July 4. Well, I think you can see standing behind me, President Trump was serious, and the United States entrepreneurs, the United States military are standing up to make it happen. The Department of Energy that I run has done all sorts of efforts in enrichment, fuel fabrication, and changing regulations and rules to unleash American ingenuity. Today is history. A multi-megawatt next generation nuclear power plant is loaded in the C-17 behind us. We're going to fly it to Utah today, and it will be critical, running all of its nuclear systems by July 4 of this year.
So they're now, we're going from 3 Mile Island with the big 10-acre nuclear facilities that are really unstable to that little round thing behind him inside the back of that C-130 is a micronuclear reactor. And they're going to fly it across country, and it's no big deal. We've come far. Investors will catch up in a bit. And if you're already invested, as more money goes into these sectors, that raises the market cap, which will raise the stock price, which means if you got in early, you're going to do great.
God bless President Trump's leadership. God bless the United States military and Department of Energy. And God bless the United States of America. Now I introduce the chaplain. Would you bow your head with me as I pray to my God?
All right. I don't want to get into religious stuff. I am a Christian.
Humanity currently moves 10 tons of Earth. It is dangerous, labor-intensive work. The yields are microscopic, keeping platinum one of the rarest and most expensive elements in the Earth's crust. Processing the ore requires immense energy and produces tons of toxic waste. This is the bottleneck of the 21st century. Our hunger for rare metals is outpacing Earth's ability to provide them. But 200 million kilometers away, floating silently in the vacuum, are rocks the size of stadiums. They don't contain ounces. They contain mountains of pure metal. The problem has always been visibility. Through optical telescopes, a solid platinum rock looks exactly like a pile of worthless rubble. We needed new eyes. SpaceX's solution utilizes the Starlink network, equipping next-generation satellites with gamma-ray spectrometers and high-frequency LiDAR.
3D printing is growing in popularity, and printers like the Bambu Lab P2S AMS
This acts like an MRI for asteroids. By analyzing how the rock reflects specific wavelengths, we can identify density and atomic composition without ever touching it. They are creating a treasure map. While the world looks down at mines, SpaceX is cataloging the most valuable real estate in the solar system. The mining operation begins with launch. A specialized cargo starship, stripped of life support to maximize payload, sits ready on the pad. It blasts into low Earth orbit, but to reach the belt, it needs more range than a standard launch can provide. This is the key: orbital refueling. The mining ship tops up its tanks in orbit, giving it the delta V necessary to break free of Earth. Cryogenic transfer is delicate, keeping fuel at sub-zero temperatures while pumping tons of liquid in minutes. For the long haul, chemical rockets are deactivated. High-efficiency ion drives take over, sipping fuel to maintain velocity over. Upon arrival, the physics of zero gravity makes drilling impossible. If you push against the rock, the ship pushes itself backward. The ship's AI negotiates the landing, calculating the tumble and rotation to find a stable axis. Contact. The ship doesn't land so much as it docks with the surface. To anchor, the ship fires hardened into the surface, winching itself tight against the rock face to create a stable platform. A containment mesh is deployed to prevent valuable ore from floating away. The mining zone is not a closed system. Once anchored, the primary crushers are deployed. Hardened tungsten bits designed to chew through solid nickel iron cores. The crust is stripped away, pulverizing the rock into a manageable gravel.
Can you hear me now? Just curious.
Pneumatic tubes transport the raw rubble to the ship's pressurized refinery bay.
What I was saying that obviously you guys, YouTube didn't allow you to hear the first time. First off, can you hear me right now? I want to make sure you can hear me before I do this again. Okay. SpaceX lowered the cost of launches into outer space when they first got started as a company by 90%. So something that cost $100 million to get into outer space, SpaceX dropped to $10 million. They're coming up with a nuclear powered rocket engine. When they were talking about the engine systems and refueling in space, that's only going to be for about 10, 15 years before the rocket engine gets perfected. When the nuclear rocket engine gets perfected, the cost of launching stuff into space will drop another 90%, which means over a 25 to 30 year time span, the cost of launching space stuff into space will have dropped from 100 million to 1 million. Now, with the economy being the way it is, $1 million in 10 years is not going to be that much money. So it makes it possible for 5 to 10 small, poor people to get together to get $1 million to launch something into outer space. And if you're well versed in the outer space stuff, as I'm trying to get you guys to be interested in, it would be possible that you might be part of an operation where you get $100,000 with 10 other people, and you'll be able to launch a couple things in outer space with a couple $20,000 robots. And next thing you know, you could be space mining. The cost of going to outer space is going to drop significantly. Let's get back to the program.
First stage sorting utilizes power to separate iron rich or from worthless silicate dust.
This is fascinating stuff.
And melt the concentrate. We need the metal in liquid form for the final purification. To save onboard power, external mirrors concentrate solar energy to help maintain the furnace temperatures.
I believe Michelangelo came up with a burning mirror system back in the Greek days when they were being attacked. And he was able to use mirrors and concentrate the sun's energy onto a spot on a wooden hull of an incoming attacking boat and start them on fire before they even got to shore. So this is old school technology he's talking about.
Centrifugal force replaces gravity. The spinner separates the waste rock from the heavy, precious metals based on atomic mass. Automated lasers check purity in real time. Anything less than 99% is sent back for reprocessing. The ship houses an automated foundry that casts the metal into stackable, standardized ingots to maximize cargo density. Flash cooling solidifies the ingots instantly, preparing them for storage.
All that heat differential from hot to cold kills all that, everything there beyond.
Robots palletize the product. Efficiency is paramount. No space is wasted in the cargo hold. The waste rock is ejected. We only burn fuel to transport the value.
I can't believe the sleep apnea pillow exists. So I almost made the dumbest mistake of my life. I got
Not the garbage. The factory never sleeps. Autonomous systems run 24 hours a day, maximizing the extraction window.
No humans necessary in any part of this operation, yet billions and billions and billions of dollars are going to be created. You can buy the robots for starting out at $20,000. As soon as the price of launch gets down to $1 million per launch, man, $1,500,000, and anyone can be a space miner.
Self-repairing systems maintain the equipment. There are no humans to fix a jammed gear, so the machines fix themselves. Mission complete. The hold is at capacity. The ship is now the most valuable object in the solar system. The ship detaches, leaving the hollowed-out husk of the asteroid behind. The return journey is a coasting fall back toward Earth. Systems divert power from mining to propulsion. The return window is open. A high-energy burn sets the trajectory for Earth intercept. Guidance computers calculate the precise angle for atmospheric entry. Too steep, they burn up. Too shallow, they skip off into space.
And that's asteroid mining 101. And like I said, within 10 years, with the invention of the nuclear-powered rocket engine, for which Russia's been working on for 3 or 4 years, and America and NASA started working on last year, it's going to lower the price to where it's going to be so cheap comparatively to 20 years ago to launch something in outer space. Pretty much anyone who's got it, who wants to launch something in outer space, should be able to afford to be able to launch something into outer space, especially if you have any kind of gumption to you. But see, the trick is the government's going to want to put you on a high basic universal income so you don't have any need to make any achievements for yourself. So you feel content and you stay in a rut of contentment, because contentment is non-growth, sideways action. And it's going to knock out a lot of people who don't have the gumption to want more than a high basic income. There will be opportunities to make money when the universal basic income, universal high income comes in. There's still going to be options to make a lot more money. But the trick of it is, see, the government's going to want you not to exceed or excel. They're going to want to limit that to people they choose, basically. So the option's going to be there. It's just most people are going to get lazy and content because that's the psychology of humanity. And that's why they're playing it this way. That's why they're doing the digital economy right now, so that we can tap in to all of those resources. Because for Elon Musk to get all that stuff going, he needs so much more money. And to get that money, it's going to be digital. I mentioned Psyche 16 is an asteroid they've been looking at since 2019. They did a launch to go do exactly this thing on. Go check it out for being able to take the minerals and whatnot up from that planet or asteroid and bring them back here to Earth. That's going to make America one of the wealthiest nations. Well, the wealthier than any other nation. We're going to be bringing in precious metals and critical metals from asteroids that aren't here on this planet, meaning everything on this planet will have already been owned. So we will be the richest country in history. And they're going to, the people in charge are going to want to make you complacent, not to enjoy the option of taking a lot of that wealth as it comes in. So they'll put you in the back corner and say, here, take this high universal basic income. You never have to work again. 95% of people will be like, sweet. Now I can do whatever the hell I want. Cool. I'm going to go be a fool. Whatever. they're not going to want to achieve new things, do new things, create new things. And it's just not many people are going to do that. So that's what you got to watch out for with the future coming. The Elon Musk, I actually already did a video on certain industries that you still be able to make money on. Oh, here's one I told a story about. This is WCNC. Digging for Gold, North Carolina gold rush that started it all. I told this story to you guys, a week or so ago. And I just wanted to get validation. And I happened to find a news station in North Carolina. And they did this 8 days ago, actually, after I talked about it. Let's give them a thumbs up. Get the volume up for y'all so y'all can believe it here.
Watch as Olympic athletes chase those gold medals. Just outside of Charlotte, people were chasing real gold more than 2 centuries ago.
And while many people think of California when it comes to gold, WCNC Charlotte anchor Jane Monreal went to Midland to explore the site of America's first documented gold discovery.
Long before Olympic gold was the ultimate prize, the pursuit of this precious metal started right here in this quiet corner of Cabarrus County at Reed Gold Mine.
In 1799, 12-year-old Conrad Reed and his siblings are fishing in the creek. He misses his fish, goes to retrieve his arrow. He was bow fishing, sees a rock. Picks it up and is like all 12-year-olds, this is a cool rock. Let me take it home. Takes it home to his parents, and his dad's like, yeah, I'm not sure what this is. So they use it for a couple of years as a doorstop.
The pathway where Reed Creek Gold Mine site manager Amanda Brantley and I walk now marks where the young boy's discovery started the Reed family's path to a gold.
Then that was a 17-pound gold rock, and then he found a 26-pounder after that.
Gold mine that would operate for decades.
So welcome to the mine.
By the 1830s, Brantley explains, workers were digging deep, following veins of gold-bearing quartz.
What is this? So they'd come in, they'd mine holes, fill it with blasting powder, blast it at the end of the day to make these big, rock falls, essentially.
Okay. Once the dust settled, Brantley says miners would hoist it back up to the surface in big buckets or kibbles.
We're where we just were.
Standing on top of the Morgan shaft, filled with the rock debris, as well as workers.
On top of the mining tunnel right now.
All right, let's continue the tour. When was this made public?
We opened in 1977 to the public. We're pushing 50 years, which is impressive.
What is this moss?
It is moss. We also have bats. I was looking for one.
Brantley says the 2 species of tiny bats in the tunnels are endangered.
Oh, there's one.
We encountered 2 of the roughly 30 bats that quietly go about their business overhead.
There's another one.
So we can still find gold here.
Yeah, let's go try.
All right.
So, what do we do? We're gonna pan for gold again. So I'll let you start shaking. Keep shaking.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh,
right
wow. Oh, look at that. Well, as Olympic athletes compete for gold in Italy, this historic site in Cabarrus County represents a golden chapter in North Carolina's past. At Reed Gold Mine in Midland, Jane Monreal, WCNC Charlotte.
Ain't that cool? I thought that was cool. Bring you all that story. Let you know. I know, by the way, you saw the rocks as they were digging, and they said it was 200 years ago. Check this out. 200 years ago, they didn't have the technology they have now. Actually go back in that mine and mine the rock off to the sides and certain parts of the sidewalls, roofs, and floors of that mine and get as much gold as they pulled out because they used their physical eyes and they saw the ore and the trace of physical eyes. The ability to capture what is known as the angel's gold, or the small particulates, which are found in rock and on base of rivers above bedrock, which if you watch the show Gold Rush with Parker Shandable, they go for the angel's gold or the fine gold that has never been able to be captured in its as much so as now a couple 5 years ago because of a new technology that came out. They're able to recover all of the small particulates now. So you could go back into that 200-year-old gold mine and find the geological spot that shows that there was formation of gold that you could physically see that they already, dug out. And there are minute particles of gold in that rock. And to prove it, I did a story on Russia's gold mining where they get 1,000 kilograms a day from a gray colored rock. And North Carolina, Rakamas. It's a 17-pound rock that the guy found in his stream, and he used it as a door stopper for a few years, sold it for like $50, and then found out it was gold after he sold it, and he got ripped off. So he went back to that stream and he found a 26-pounder. That area is the area in North Carolina. And hi. But yeah, you can go in. I did a video where you use rock crushers. They got smaller rock crushers, and you just, you get the modern technology in these old mines that have been shut down for 200 years. You go in there with these modern technologies, check the ore content, and pre-dug out 200-year-old, 100-year-old holes, and see what the mineral content is in the existing rock wall, and it'll come back with positive gold counts. And then with the price of gold, as I said for a couple of other YouTubers, like I think Rocky Superstar, as the price of the financial worth to be able to get that smaller content of silver now becomes available, because it costs more to rock crush and then sift through it and do that process rather than just go for the physical ore you see. It's easier to, because there's more of it concentrated, so it's cheaper. But now as the prices go up, and I said this about silver, once silver goes up, the availability financially for these companies to go for these ores, the silver ore in this rock that was too expensive, cheaper price, now becomes feasible. And that opens up more silver to the market. I mean, that's not going to like blow anything away, but that's just the economics of it. It's actually irrelevant what it actually does for silver. I wasn't talking about what it does for silver. I'm talking about the economics of the mining. And that's why, and I stated this with Clean Air Metals in Thunder Bay, North Carolina. They're still a discovery company, but they've got the mining rights and the mineral rights, or the mineral rights. They're going for the mining rights to mine the newest platinum vein discovered on the planet. I think that's kick butt. But now when they turn over into a actual mining company, their stock's going to jump like hell, and I'll be talking about that too. But they stated they weren't going to do that, convert to a mining company and actually physically throw money into digging their 400-meter deep pit, like a gold open pit mine, because they're for the first kilometer of their, or first mile of their ore vein in Thunder Bay for platinum, it goes from 400 meters down to 600 meters. It runs kind of sideways, which is freaky, unusual, and they haven't finished yet. But they stated that they would not start mining until platinum got back up to its normal price. Back when I started doing reports on Clean Air Metals, platinum was $900. And it hadn't gone up for 15 years, since like 2011, because of suppression. And I've done stories on that, how China and BRICS have suppressed the price of platinum. But yeah. Hi, Pat. Sorry, I had to keep up with my my ramblings, because if I get off my ramblings, I forget what I'm rambling about. It's kind of a freaky part of being smart. But yeah, so as the price goes up and sustain run, but a sustainable upward price, the availability for companies that are in the mining to do things like buy a $7 to $14 million micro nuclear reactor deposited right underneath Arctic in northern Canada, where there is no infrastructure, tens of billions of dollars to put infrastructure in. They now can put $7 to get a micro reactor. And as I just showed in the earlier video, they're flying them on planes now, micro reactors, and dropping them off. Put a micro reactor on a plane, a snowshoe plane, go up there where you have no access, micronuclear reactor, drop off all kinds of supplies by plane, same as they do in the Arctic, a brand new mining operation. But it's not to happen for two reasons in the past, and that was the technology of the micronuclear being made available to us. It now is being fast-tracked by the federal government. And what was the other one? Yeah, the price. The price of silver and gold was too low. Now, if silver on its next runs up, and this is when you're going to see this happen, it runs back up into the several hundreds of dollars and then falls back down and finds its average price down, you'll see companies starting opening up mining. If you pay attention, it might not be made, but if you pay attention to supply chains, you'll see orders being made and stuff like that for shipping manifestos for this, that, and the other. Trend of companies buying these micronuclear reactors and having them sent places. That's going to be the first key of new mines opening up. For that to happen, the price of silver and platinum has to go up at a higher economic level to make it profitable for them to get the harder to reach areas on the planet where the ore is at. So we're not running out of silver. Economically, under the system we have now, are we running out? It's just, it's not economically feasible, or it wasn't economically feasible to get that silver at $30, $20 an ounce. That is sustainable. Right on. Call them something good. At a sustainable $60 to $70, $80, $90, 3 times more. Now you got to look at, okay, you're a mining company. Yeah, you're making a lot of money. Do you want to continue? Yeah, you do. So you're looking at where you can go to open up new mines. And you've already done that because you did the research and development and the drilling projects, and you already secured the mining rights and the mineral rights to areas, because that's how your mining company, you secure your future in advance. And that's how this works. They already know where all the minerals are at. These mining companies already know. Passed away about 10 years ago, a good friend of mine, Steve Swanson. His son spent 10 years in northern Canada with a drilling company, a prospecting company, just drilling. And what that company did, and they discovered different deposits of this, that, or the other. And that survey or prospecting or company bought the mineral rights. Sit on them. For years, they'll sit on these mineral rights until the mining company, is economically feasible, and they start looking for where these new ore deposits are. It's not a mad scrap look, where are they? There they are. Your prospecting companies, your drilling companies that go out and look for these mineral deposits, 20 years ago finished a survey in Canada. Most of Canada, they know where it's all at. We're on the on YouTube. We're on the retail end. Okay, but if you own a mining company, you know where your next paycheck's coming from. Because if not, you're already out of business and you're not a mining company anymore. That's the mining business. I did a report where Trump was invited to Australia, where they had Indo-Pacific Mining Conference like 2-3 years ago. And he went there, and they were all, no other country's government was invited except for Trump at an Indo-Pacific Mining Conference. And Trump was pushing mining for minerals and nationalization back then. That's how I knew what was going to happen now. Because they forecast. Everyone forecasts things. Hey, what's up, LL? What's up, Gerald? So they already know where all these minerals are. What's preventing them from getting these new mines open and started? It's technology, sustainable mineral price. And the government knows that too. That's why they reclassify things as critical metals. Because once it's established as a critical metal, the price will have to go up and be sustained so that companies can afford to get more of it because it's a critical metal. The companies have to have guarantees. The government's guarantees by price action. And that is how a government money works. I hope you guys got all this. It's really interesting. And that's how you can forecast what's going to happen. If you see exactly how it works, and then you just do a little research in a little different areas, you can say, wow, yeah, they do know how it's going to work because they already know. They just haven't told us. Hey, get out of there. Sorry, one of my cats. But luckily for me, my friend's son was actually spent 10 years doing drilling in northern Canada. And every Christmas he'd come back and tell us all kinds of shit. Didn't make the news. I know where some of those new mines are going to be just from the information that that kid told me at dinner. It'll be, back then it was like 15 years ago, but it's going to happen within 3 to 5 years, maybe 2 years, 2, 3 years. Those companies, there's going to be companies buying up the mineral rights from the exploration was working for as they were drilling, looking for minerals. So actually, if you want to make money, you want to get into a prospecting company that drills and surveys areas. And then instantly, once you find something, get the mineral rights for it, and then sell those mineral rights to mining companies. At least that's how the business goes. There's mining companies. There are mining companies that have their own. Well, yeah, you got to look at economics. For a short period of time, active mining companies had larger exploration departments, but it's all been explored, so they kind of getting rid of them. Now it's just a matter of economic price being viable for them to actually drill, and for that to happen, the price has to go up, and that's why we're having an extended PM run. Price has to go real high to open up all these new veins. It has to sustain, probably between 75 to 150 for all these mines to open up, or at least in silver. For platinum, for Clean Air Metals is holding the dynamite in hand and saying, no, we're not going to pull any new platinum out of the ground until the price gets back up to normal. They own all the platinum from that mining area, and it's the more platinum that's being mined in South Africa. So that's going to make them the world leader in platinum. The world now needs platinum, so they have a lot of leverage. And that's how I knew the platinum price was going to go up. It's business. You got to know how business works, not how charts work. You also have to know how charts work. But if you know how business works and put that correlated in with how charts work and put that overlapped with geopolitical, now you've got a very clear picture of the future. In case you're wondering how I know so much and why I'm right most of the time. Not all the time. Geopolitical is what gets you. And quite frankly, here recently, companies haven't been profit driven. That Walmart girl, it was worth $25 billion. She was throwing money at stupid shit that I would have never, in a million years of any kind of schooling in business, would I have ever thought that anyone would throw their money at unless they wanted to lose money. And no one rich wants to lose money, but apparently she did. That was kind of anomalous, and it kind of fucked our country up. So that's geopolitical. That can pop up anywhere because, anyone with a mental disease gets a lot of money can fuck up your economy. And, several people with mental diseases had a lot of money, and that's exactly what happened. So, you'd have to look at geopolitical for the differentials on timing and wrenches getting thrown into the mix. But basically, you just look at how companies do business and see how that fits in with the rules and regulations of the country that you live in. Look at the direction that your country that you live in says it's going, correlate that with business, and then look at the geopolitical, meaning other countries and the directions they're going in, see if the ships are going to collide in the future. I've had 5 years pretty much off work from being an IR worker, so I've done a lot of research. I wasn't this knowledgeable 6 years ago, not on this subject matter, any any economic subject matter, because I hadn't studied it. I have more studies than normal people because I was into the stock market like first and second grade, playing stocks on paper, and I gave that up because I realized it was a fucking gamble. But so I've got on the 10,000 hours to become an expert thing. I already had like 1,000 hours before I got out of elementary school in economics and theories and shit like that, because of where I was raised, who I was raised around, and stuff like that. And in that fact, being poor and shipped around the world, it got me privilege. I wasn't rich. It just lucky. God ordained, however you want to say it. We were fucking poor though. My opportunities of knowledge I gained come from the U.S. military shipping my dad every 2 years to different ports because he was on the Pacific Fleet. I was a Navy brat, so we moved every 2 years, and that's you pay a price. You don't have lifelong friends. You never go to the same school, and shit like that. So it's not all fun, but you go to different schools around the world and you learn different things, and you learn to adjust, adapt, and overcome. And I realized really young that my life was going to be fucked because I got a bad start. I wasn't going to have those lifelong friends that would give you associations. Oh, hey, I know him for 40 years. Oh, he owns this business. I went to school with him. That was knocked out for me, and I saw that at a young age. So I went a different path. Hey, what's up, Sean? Pack a bowl. Yeah, I'll smoke a bowl on that one. Actually, I'm waiting for, I think, Gold and Silver to get here because I told him this week I would do a live stream about, he wanted to know about my Sutherland style beehive, the bottoms that are different than the Langstroth system of beehives. And I have one of my first prototype, not mobile bottoms, because the beehives don't change. The box and the comb does not change. It's the bottom that changes. So I only have the bottom. And he wanted dimensions, and I've got a tape measure here, and I was going to do that for him if he showed up. But he did not show up. Oh, hey, Cheryl, you're in Illinois, right? Oh, you're gonna love this one. This is why Illinois cannot compete with red states, and this is from Illinois Policy. I guess give them a like. I don't want to get a strike. I think they're a newscast, but I'm going to go ahead and put their thingamajigger, their hold on. Let's get back over here. This is the video that I'm fixing to play. If you guys want to go there, like, share, subscribe. If you lived in the South, you do, Raka. It's a Southern thing. Remember, the South will rise again.
Pass our tax or else kind of messaging. And we're seeing the graduated tax, the progressive tax initiative come back now. Right. It's never truly dead, I guess. But the governor has signaled support for it. Many legislators have signaled support for it. And I think it's interesting. In order to implement a progressive tax, you have to get voter approval, right? You have to amend the Constitution in order to do that. And so, luckily for Illinois taxpayers, it can be one of those things that on the very last day of session, they just sneak into a bill in order to pay for all their additional spending. But they could, in this legislative session, they could pass an initiative, a resolution to put that question back on the ballot in one form or another. And I think we're going to have to pay pretty close attention to what that looks like, because there are a number of think we don't have near enough money to spend on all the things we want to spend on. And the only place we can go for it is to come back to taxpayers and ask them for more.
When they say we don't have enough to spend, what does more spending mean? Like, what does more government spending equate to?
I mean, it would certainly equate in many of the core areas of state spending to just additional dollars outlaid by the state. So one of our largest areas of spending is K-12 education. There's a proposal, some lawmakers are talking $1 billion a year extra right now. There are some who are saying we're We're $5 billion a year short in K-12 education. And so that, you know, a lot of people want to have good quality education. There's this wild discrepancy, the cost to do that. Some people would say, I'll throw an additional $5 billion at it. Others who would say, we're going to use that additional spending to do more programs, to create new programs, to provide new services, to add additional benefits, to give people more in Medicaid, or give people more in SNAP or food assistance programs, or give out new grants to community organizations doing any number of things across the state. There's an endless appetite for additional spending, and what it means for each legislator might look a little different, but trust me, there's no shortage of new ideas.
One thing we saw in Chicago this year was aldermen flat out rejected Brandon Johnson's wealth tax. They kind of drew a line in the sand saying, we have to protect business interests. And it was interesting to see that in Chicago, because it feels like they've learned a lesson that Springfield lawmakers are still grappling with, where the default in Springfield seems to be going to taxing businesses. How do Springfield lawmakers start to learn that lesson?
I think it's a question of sort of how bad does it need to get before they wake up to the impact of this. We talk a lot about how does Illinois compare to other states, because it's a very valid question of, if somebody's going to make a new investment, some private business is going to come and build a new factory in Illinois, or build a new office in Illinois, and they're going to hire people, and they're going to make a capital investment that's a generational commitment to being in a state. They're going to think long and hard about, what's the tax policy look like here? What does the liability policy look like here? What's the workforce look like here? What's housing availability? All these kind of things are going into that area. But taxes are pretty easy to compare, because you can just look at a rate here and a rate here. You can have your accountants make a comparison of, what would it cost me every year to have this location in Texas? What would it cost me to have it in Illinois? I think.
And that right there is why I've stated that states will be competing for Americans to move to in particular states. And it's not looking good for California, New York, Illinois, all the red state, all the Democrat-controlled states, because as I put in earlier in the chat, in California, $1 in the American dollar bill only gets you 88 cents worth of goods and services because of the state taxes and regulations. In Alabama, that same dollar, because of the lack of state taxes and the ease of regulations, it gets you $1.12 worth of goods and services. So you get a 24% increase in purchasing power when you go from California to Alabama. And as the last thing that gentleman said, when companies do comparisons, when they want to start up, they're going to go to their financial people and say, hey, what are the taxes long term? And all you got to do is compare one state to another. And you're like, wow. And when states start and companies start looking at states, and they go, hey, if we locate in California, we're not going to get as much buying power for money. But if we go to like Alabama, we'll get 24% more total value of our money, because we're not going to be paying the 12% or losing the 12% for state taxes and regulation. So a long-term investment would be obviously lead you to go to Alabama and other states that don't have high taxes. I specifically just looked at, there's lots of states. I'm just using Alabama as an example because that's the one I've actually looked at. But that's where states are going to start competing. And you're going to start seeing, since they're getting rid of the federal Department of Education, you're going to start seeing different states. Kids' test scores are going to be more publicly advertised. And that's going to cause parents to move to states because they want their children better educated. So they're going to leave Arkansas and go to Florida, or, whatever the comparison at the time is. It hasn't happened yet, but it will. And these are things that you got to look at and see the direction of your country and all these other things, and know how business works, because you can also look at different counties and different states that you want to look at to live in and see what future business prospects are looking at. And then in which case you want to say, okay, well, there's an actual new military just got started up by this country called America, and they're locating their home base of this new military in Huntsville, Alabama, and they're going to bring 40,000 permanent high-paying jobs to a town that has 200,000, 250,000 people. Wow, that sounds like a boom town. Doesn't matter what the economy is for the rest of the world or the rest of the country. That town's going to prosper. See, so you got to look at all kinds of things when you're looking at your life and where you want to place yourself for your best option. And with more things going online and the availability to make money online, it's going to come down to where's the best state to live and to have your money, earn your money, and not have your money taxed away from you. Not everyone's going to fit into that, but a lot of people will. Then it's going to change the dynamics and change the numbers on states as far as populations, taxes, what do they have on those averages of great places to live, which states are better to live in than this, that, and the other. That's going to be a competition between 50 states. And you're going to see states starting to pop up and say, hey, we have this here. We offer this here. For people that move in, new houses they come with this, that, the other. We have Starlink. We have this. Redid our road system. We do this. And different states are going to be pushing for better services for the people that live in those states, making a better lifestyle for the people in those states. And it's going to be a good future. It's just going to get getting there. And there's going to be a limit that people put on themselves in the future that's coming. Because if there is going to be a universal high basic income, subconsciously, that's going to prevent you from wanting to achieve and go above and beyond, because contentment comes in play. And contentment's the real killer of invention. You have to really be a go-getter. If I was getting $10,000 a month, why would I want to work? A house I don't have to pay for, bills that are, by 2030 are going to be 75% cheaper than they are now. So I mean, if you got $10,000, you pay less than $1,000 for all your living expenses. Why are you going to work? You have robots doing that. See, that mentality is going to kick in. About 90% of the nation's not going to do anything. So therefore, they're not going to achieve. You'll have people online doing the computers and having the robots do the online computer shit. Most people will be doing that. But as far as creating, innovating, and making new things. All right, take care, Gerald. Be safe. But Elon Musk had a video interview with this Middle Eastern conference, World Economic Conference or something. And he stated after the world basically goes to a universal basic income, which the world probably will go to, there's only certain arenas to be in that'll actually make new money, because everyone will be on a basic income. Hey, what's up, Deneen? I would show you a picture of me, but I'd probably freak you out and you'd run away. But yeah, so if you understand how companies work, and you understand how their profit margin works, and you understand all this other stuff, everything I just talked about all goes back to mining. New technologies, micronuclear reactors. The show I just earlier on in the show, they had a micronuclear reactor. They're fixing to fly on a C-130 across America to a military base. So, wow, they're portable. Really, that's why they call them micronuclear. They're portable. And that right there should let you know, hold on, now you can have energy. Wherever you dump that thing off, now you already know, because you know business, you know that they've already got the whole northern part of Canada mapped out for mineral resources and owned by certain groups. All you got to do is work a deal with them, mining rights, buy it from them, lease it from them, work your financial deal with your company, go out there, drop that micronuclear. And now you've got 3 or 4 new new mines open up with a couple different mining companies, and their stocks start getting more robust because they're getting new minerals and resources because of a higher level of value of that mineral. If we're talking silver, instead of at $20 for 50 years with a spike here and there, it's basically maintaining $20-$30. You can't go into northern Canada and open up a new mine. At $100 an ounce? Well, yeah, you can do it then, especially with the new technology. And since Canada's fallen apart financially and Alberta looks like they're leaving them, that's going to force Canada to come up with new money. They're going to get desperate. So they'll probably sell those mineral rights cheap. And they'll probably give you good conditions as a company to go in there and occupy the territory so they get a little bit of tax revenue new rather than just losing it, which is what they're doing now. So that's where the geopolitical comes in. So you got your company base, your geopolitical, and then you've got the economics. So anyone who invests just on charts, you want to know why people lose money. That's why. You don't just look at charts. You look at the charts. You look at the political scene in the area you're in. You look at the local taxes, rules, and regulations. Are they pushing businesses away, or are they encouraging businesses? You don't want to invest in something where the only place they're gaining their resource from is in an area where they are actively pushing away companies and by too much tax and regulations. You're not going to make a good return on investment, no matter what the chart says. That's a longer term investment. So you got to do research on all these companies and you got to do a lot of research in areas that you never thought you'd have to do research on to know about mining. That's why Rick Rule knows so much about mining. He was a financer. You know, financing knows more about mining. Miners know about the ground. Financiers know about the business of mining. And they're both the same thing, mining. That's why another reason why a lot of people don't win on stocks is because you listen to the wrong people, even though you think they're the right people to listen to. No, they're not. But they are smart. They're just not the right people to listen to because they missed, they didn't have the knights on the chessboard when they started the game. So they're already at a deficit. You got to see the big picture. See the big picture. You got to step out of the box you're in. Like it, love it, or leave it. Step out of it. Get a realistic viewpoint, learn the terrain, see what really is going on from that person's perspective, that country's perspective, then step back again and say, okay, now how's that country's perspective and that guy's perspective interact with other perspectives and affect this? And then step back again, and then you see the whole world's perspective, and you say, oh, well, this country is actually dealing with this country. That's causing that company to do this to that company, which is causing these prices to do this. At least if you have government growth economy, for which we've had since 1971. That's why we've had inflation since 1971 and all that. 2%. They've been going for it ever since they started the fiat dollar. It's all manufactured. Most of our economic growth was in government jobs. We went from 50 agencies to 450 agencies in a period of 50 years. So the American government hired a bunch of people and paid them good money. Tax dollars. That's why you hear these politicians say, yeah, we have 10 people doing one job in 6 different agencies. It's government growth economy. It's not a fucking democratic republic free system. It's government growth. Cut that and you'll start seeing a lot of good things happen. Argentina is the lead for that principle of economics. And quite frankly, if you look at the numbers, all the job losses are government jobs. If you look at private industry, dramatic growth in private industry jobs. It's just not reported because the government jobs are a lot higher than the new job growth. But if you look at the sectors of them, most of the job losses in government job. That is actually a good thing. That lowers the deficit. That lowers the amount of tax dollars we have to spend to pay for employees that are doing redundant jobs. We have 9 employees from 6 different agencies doing one job. The regulatory snafu of that causes $1 to be worth 50 cents because of all the regulations and taxes. Same thing I said about California regulations and taxes making $1 value at 88 cents, and Alabama's taxes and regulations making that same dollar valued at $1.12 for spending power, buying power. Same thing. It's all wrapped up together. If you don't know one piece of that puzzle, you're going to get it wrong more than you're going to get it right. That's why I looked at Sahel nations. They're going for a whole gold-backed standard. That's why I was looking at El Salvador, Ecuador, whatever it is. They're going for a full BTC standard. Then I did research and I found out what world governments look for in economic systems. And what they do is they don't look at the country doing the experiment, the gold backed standard for the Sahel nations or Ecuador's BTC standards. They look at the surrounding countries to see what economic development was created by that new economic system. And then they make their determination of which one they're going to push on to us. I've been explaining this on my shows for years. I've told about West Africa, what the Sahel nations are doing. Talked about BTC, Ecuador. You know, these are real case, real life, ongoing social experiments for economic systems that we are entering into, one of the two or a combination of both together. You know, make up your own mind, we'll find out. Economic systems. But the 4 economic principles that we've been running off of for the past couple hundred years, all 4 of them have failed. So we're going to come up with a new one. And it looks like digital will help expand our economies, expand money growth and all this other stuff. So yeah, and you know, you're going to feel as though you're rich with the universal high basic income, but man, it's like carrot and a stick, baby. There's always a stick holding that carrot. Once the carrot gone, you're getting stick. So I would encourage everyone to make knowledge the first thing you learn about anything. Learn anything you can about whatever it is, and then see how everything else affects that thing, and learn about that, and then do your investing. Be a speculative player or a swing trader, all this other different stuff. But gain knowledge, and that right there will allow you to make the best decision for your path in this world, in this life. Power in this world is crazy, and not too many people are telling you the full truth. Anyhow, not saying I am perspective, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but I'm up there. Anyhow, I'm gonna cut off on that one. I hope you guys have a great week. I appreciate each and every one of you showing up. God bless, and be kind, helpful, and great.